Hi, fashion dolls. It is Wednesday, August 30th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today has been on hit shows such as P Valley and The Young and the Restless, just to name a few. He's done stand up comedy, and he's also an artist as well too. Joining me today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the handsome, the incredibly talented Roger Payano. Hi, brother. Shout outs to my brother, the K2 spot. And I have something very special we're going to do at the end of the show. We are going to go in my beauty bag because I know you guys have been going crazy over the looks throughout the past few weeks, the makeup, the hair, everything. Special thanks to my beauty contributor here at Style by Stevie, Melanie Nalamai Bridges. So without further ado, let's send this live to our very special guest, Roger Payano. And joining me tomorrow, we have Gary Anthony Stennett. He will be joining us from Spain. So I'm super excited about that. Let me go ahead and share this live with Roger so that we can get him in here and we can get this live cack-a-lacking. And I hope you guys all are doing well today. Prayers out to Florida and Atlanta. As we all know, another hurricane touched down. I hope you guys are out there being safe if you're in the Florida and the Atlanta area. So let's welcome our sexy, handsome, amazingly talented special guest, Roger Payano.
Am I in? Oh, whoa. Let me adjust my camera. Is that how I look? There you go.
We can see you.
What's up? How
Hello.
you doing? How you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing wonderful. Welcome to the dollhouse.
Thank you. I'm a doll. I'm a doll today. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I'm an action figure.
So before we get into this interview, how has 2023 been for you so far?
Mm. 2023 has been fairly interesting. Fairly interesting. It's started off great, and then we had the writer strike, then we have the actor strike. But as far as my personal life outside of acting, things have been easy. I mean, I wouldn't say easy, but I've been floating. I wouldn't call it easy, but just staying afloat. I've been able to stay afloat, and a lot of that has to do with the support system that I have with my wife and my family. So yeah, everything's been good. I can't complain, but I do.
You have a few famous faces in the comments. Nick Few, who I've interviewed, you guys know him from the DL Chronicles. That was a great interview. And Kaniki Sky,
Kanique,
officially, she's in.
Kanique,
Yes,
not you, Nick Few, not you.
yes.
Uh, yeah. Kanique. Oh, let me just give a shout out to Kanique. I met Nick through Kanique. I've worked with her on 3 projects while I was living in Los Angeles, and I'm now going to be working with her on another project. Actually, we start rehearsal on Wednesday for her reprisal of her award-winning play called Pieces. So yeah,
Mhm.
shout
All
out.
right. So you were born in New York, right? Our guest that we had on yesterday, Graham Sean Witherspoon, was also born in New York. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was born in New York, but I don't really claim New York. We moved from New York. I moved to Miami when we were 3 in the early 80s, which I don't know what to say about that. That was like the crack cocaine epidemic down there in Miami, and my parents chose to move down there. But yeah, was raised in Miami since the age of 3, and I went back to New York every year till about the age of 13. Once I started playing sports, every summer I would go back. I either went to New York for the summer or Dominican Republic until 13, and then that slowed down until after college. But yeah, New York. I mean, New York is
Okay.
fine. It's a great place to visit.
And actually, I have family in New York.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you've heard of the five
Mhm.
boroughs, Brooklyn. I have there,
Where your family from?
Manhattan and Brooklyn, and then they're near Brownsville as well too.
Yeah. So my family, they were at the Grant Project, 125th and Broadway. Like my grandma was
Yeah.
there from essentially from when I was born, and then they were there till she passed away, which is in 2008. And the Grant
Sorry.
Projects. Yeah. Okay,
What
can
was
I
your?
ask you a question real quick before we continue?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can we? What are the pronouns? Can we establish pronouns real quick?
She, her. She, her.
Got it. Done deal. Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure.
Her.
I'm him, he.
Got you.
Gotcha.
All
Let's
right.
do this. All right.
My question for you was, what was your first acting experience? Because you've done shows like The Young and the Restless, you've done P Valley, just to name a
Mhm.
few. We could be here all day discussing your credits because you have a very extensive catalog of work. So, what was your first acting experience?
All right. So we want to talk professional or just like in the streets, just joining
Professionally.
somebody.
Professionally. Yeah.
My first professional on TV gig was Young and the Restless. That's when they were filming in New York still. And I was at the time I was at the National Conservatory of Dramatic Arts in DC, studying there. And I would drive up to New York to take these little workshops. And I met, oh my gosh, please, Bob Lambert, Robert Lambert. Took a workshop with him. He called me like 2 weeks later saying, "Hey, I got an under five on Young and the Restless. You want to come up and do it?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And got that's how I got my after card. And then I did another 2 episodes of Young and the Restless when they moved out to LA. But yeah, that's my first professional gig was Young and the Restless.
What was it like being on set on The Young and the Restless? Because I've interviewed quite a few soap opera stars here on the platform. Charles Divins
Hmm.
and Kiko. I've had them on the platform. Kiko Ellsworth. What was it like being on set during that time?
It's a little intimidating, to be honest with you. And I'm not easily intimidated, but it was intimidating because the speed in which they move. They're only taking one, maybe 2 takes of all of any shot. And I think the professionalism of the veteran actors is just amazing because you get the sides, and I'm like, okay, there's like 3 pages,
Mhm.
and they run through it, and they're getting them on the daily basis. They're going through it and learning their lines. So it was a little intimidating. But I forget, and I'm so sorry that I forget his name, but I remember the shot was me opening up an elevator. I was playing a security guard, and they were in the elevator, and I stepped into the elevator to, ask them where they're going because it seemed like they were on the wrong floor. And right before we were going to shoot, we did like one quick rehearsal. He said, "Hey, take one step forward when you walk in so you can get your light." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." Because I was like, obviously the elevator door, I mean, like the roof of the elevator. He said, "Just take one more step and it'll be fine." And I was like, "Great, thank you." And just him talking to me just made me feel more comfortable. But yeah, I think the intimidation factor is one of the, that was what I experienced my first time on set.
What was the most challenging scene that you ever had to film in a film or project?
You hit me with these. Okay. Um, I don't even know I should talk. Should we talk? Something? I want to
I
clear
know you
something up. We're on
said,
strike
I know
now.
you said you can't say certain things, so
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I know we can't, but I don't, do I want to promote? I just finished shooting on a not to be named um, production. Where we're striking them, so we don't want to talk about it, right? But I play a freed black mixed with um, Cherokee Indian. Um,
Mm.
and I did so much research on that tribe and on that area, which was in Maryland. And I wouldn't say it was the toughest, but I think it was the most fun that I've had researching on on a specific character because it wasn't me. A lot of times, I've played roles that, to be quite honest with you, weren't far from who I am, which is, the stereotypical, fairly attractive black man, person of color, asshole boyfriend, detective type of deal. Like that's not, I'm not an asshole boyfriend, but it's not far from who I am, who I can portray. But on this role, I got to dig deep and do some research and learn more about the Native Americans, and it was fantastic. And learning more about free slaves during that time, during the 1860s. It was crazy. It was amazing. So yeah, that was probably the toughest one.
Is that one of the most challenging roles? Which is one of the most challenging roles that you've ever had to play throughout your career?
That's it right there. I can't, like I said, I can't. I don't want to speak on it
I know
because
you can't give.
but yes, that's probably it. I'm in 3 episodes. Still excited that it's coming out. And I was on set for 2 months in Savannah, Georgia, and it was great. The experience was great. So yeah.
If you could trade places with any character in any film, who would you trade places with and why?
Any character in any film, I am gonna go with Jeffrey Wright when he played Basquiat. That was
Mm,
my first time I've ever seen him on screen. That was the first time I ever seen him on screen, and I was absolutely captivated by him. And he's been my favorite actor. And essentially, I would love to mold my career like him. I mean, I've had opportunities twice where I've bumped into him in the middle of the street, once in New York and one in DC. And he's so, what's the word I want to say? He's so, is the word anonymous? Like, because nobody knows who he really is because he's not a big star, but he's in, hundreds of movies.
yeah.
I would love to be able to, tailor my career like his, where he just works and he can still go to Walmart, he can still go to Whole Foods, and ain't nobody gonna bother him. He's not like Will Smith, where he has to. Will Smith can't go to the grocery store, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so John Basquiat, that movie there, just it enlightened me.
And you also have background in mechanical engineering
Ha!
and MS industrial engineering. You went to Florida A&E University.
Please
So you
believe
kind
it.
of,
Please
yes,
believe it.
FAMU. So tell us about that, your experience going to FAMU.
Well, I played football there. I was recruited there to play ball, but I went there to become when I got accepted. I wanted to major in what's they called their School of Business and Industries, their SBI program, and I wasn't accepted because coming out of high school I didn't have a great GPA and I didn't have great test scores. But I was smart, but I just didn't test very well. At any rate, the one thing I did know that I was good at was math. I was like math just came easily to me. It still does. And I spoke to a counselor. I told her, what my strengths were. We sat down and she said, well, engineering. I want you to look into engineering. And I was like, all right, cool. I can make a little money off of there. You can do that. So I did that. I went into mechanical engineering. My goal was to become a professional engineer, start my own firm, get some government contracts. But then, right around my senior year, just the love for it just kind of like dwindled. I took a Theater 101 improv class with Dr. Luther Wells at Florida A&M. I think he's still the dean of the theater department. Took that class. I enjoyed it. It was good. And he sat me down and said, you should change your major to theater. And I was like, absolutely not. My parents did not come here from the Dominican Republic for me to become an actor. You know what I mean? And but that's when the bug bit. And then from that point on, my goal was to be like, well, I'm going to LA and just start, secretly,
Oh,
silently and reluctantly. That's exactly what happened.
how do you prepare mentally and physically for a role? Mentally and emotionally, excuse me, for a role.
Um, Pardon if I don't sound as like smart as these other actors these other great actors that you've had. But so I've come from the National Conservatory of Dramatic Arts. They're very, very big on script analysis, right? So I just dig into the words. You know,
Mm.
the words will tell you who you are. There's this strategy that they have, and I still do it. I still do it to this day, and I've been doing it for the past week, getting ready for rehearsal. Is what do you say about yourself? What do you say about others? And what do others say about you? That's who you are. That's it. That's who you are, and you have to dive in to what that to your character with those three. That's at least how I work. Um, Physically, I maybe since 2005, I'm very much into like staying in shape. Stay ready so you don't have to be ready.
Right.
Or stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Exactly. Um, Mentally, music is probably what I use to get into like a role. I try to find music of either that era or music that just like that speaks to my character, right? And that's after I've done my oh what they say about me. Okay, cool. So this person, oh he's always late. He does this. He loves his family, but he's reluctant. You know, all these little things. You know, now I look through a music catalog and find music that's gonna speak to that character, and that's how I get in mentally. Um, and then emotionally, I find that during theater, I absolutely love the rehearsal process. Absolutely love it. Like because you can play, you can change things up, and the director would be like, "Ask Nick." You know, the director would be like, "Oh yeah, keep that," or "No, don't do that again." You know, and I love the rehearsal process. Depending on the film that you're working on, you may get rehearsal, you may not. I've been fortunate enough, since for the past like 2 to 3 years, you know, the later stages of my career, I've had the privilege to rehearse with my scene partners. So that helps out a lot. Um, so that's when emotionally I get there during the rehearsal process, you know, and I think, you know, I can feed off of that person. And so that's where I am as far as emotionally and physically and mentally.
Do you believe that art imitates life or vice versa, and why?
Um, I go with art imitates life.
Mhm.
I think the life imitates art is just a joke that people like to say, because the art isn't created without the life happening, correct? So you know, I mean, it's not a who came first, the chicken or the egg. It's you know, life came first, and then we're imitating life. Now it's a little bit exaggerated, correct? You know, but that's the best part of it. People get to come out of their comfort zones, come out of what they do on a regular basis to enjoy someone else, you know, going through whatever it is, whether it be pain, joy, or um, or grief.
My whole lineup this week is all black men, amazing
Awesome.
actors, fathers.
Mhm.
Throughout the whole week, I've been asking the gentlemen that have been on the show, Graham and others, just to name a few,
Mhm.
even the gentleman that I have coming up tomorrow and the beginning of September, Marcos Luis, one might not, he'll be joining me. How do you find that balance? Because you're a family man. How do you find the balance with being in this? Because I know being in this business for either one of us, hosting the platform, you're away from your family, you're on set. How do you find the balance with being on set away from your family
Mhm.
and making? Because I know it's definitely, yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to balance it out. And shout out to any single women with kids that's doing this, and single men because they're out there that's doing
yeah.
this. I have the support of my wife, the support of my son's mother, who is, you know, one of my best friends, and the support of my family. That's the only way it can happen. You know, people always say, "Oh, I don't have enough money to have a kid." You don't need money. What you need is a village.
Yes.
What you need is a village. You need support. You know, and there's people out there. I don't understand how women do it. They're living up in Minnesota. They don't have no cousins, no sisters, no mothers, no aunties around, and they single and they doing it. And I have more power to them, and men as well. By the way, men as well. But the support system is what allows me to be able to do that. And as far as me being away from my son, I think the longest I was ever away from my son was, you know, the last summer when I was shooting in Savannah. You know, I was away from him for 2 months shooting. But you know, I speak to him every day. You know, thank God for the time we're living, right? You know, being able to call it and be able to see his face, be able to, you know, him talking to me and, you know, in real time. And I can imagine doing this, you know, what, 15 years ago? It would have been tough.
How important is chemistry with your co with your co-star in a film and a project? How important is that?
Extremely, extremely important. And that's what the rehearsal is so important. You know, this is like I said, I mentioned this is gonna be my fourth project that I'm doing with Kanique. And out of those four projects, three of them, she's been my love interest. So we have some sort of chemistry. Um, so I think we're coming in. We're like we're cheating a little bit because we're coming in rehearsal already comfortable with each other. But I think that's where the rehearsals come in, and it's super duper important. I've been a part of films where the chemistry wasn't right. Luckily, it wasn't me, but I've seen it with other people where the chemistry just was not quite right. Um, and I try to demand it from the director or from whoever I can. Like, hey, can I meet this person before we? Depending on what it is. If it's you know if the scene is just me having a conversation with you about your taxes, there may not need to be a lot of chemistry there, right? But if it's about us having an argument about our son being late to school every day, and then that really the soul of the argument is really us not having sex at night, you know what I mean, or whatever that may be. Yeah, that needs to be chemistry. So
Absolutely. I trust, even from the host standpoint of hosting this platform,
mhm.
because I've had two male co-hosts here. And then my other platform, Tete Tete, I have a male co-host as well too. It's different how we are able to gel and balance everything out. Everybody has their own opinion,
Yeah,
and we don't try to overrule the next person. We all come together in one accord, and that's what it should be like whenever you're having chemistry with anybody. So I feel like whenever it comes to working in groups and crowds, I would blend in perfectly,
yeah,
or just anybody. That would be my advice to anybody who's working with a group or a crowd or a co-star or a co-host or whatever. Just make sure you come in with your energy, let that person come in with their energy, and bring your own originality and individuality to it.
but that,
So that is my next question for you. How do you find the individuality to bring your characters to life? Like, do you have somewhat of an input into your characters in the film?
I try to, if it's much possible that the director will allow, because as we're finding out right now is that we the actors are the bottom of the total pole when it comes to whether it be a production, stage production, or film. We're the bottom of the totem pole, unfortunately. So some directors and some producers are super duper open to your suggestions, or whatever your input is. The last production that I was just talking about while I was in Savannah, like I said, it was so great because I had a question and I had input, and the executive producer, the person who wrote this series, responded to me and said, "Let's have a talk." And we sat down and we conversed, and we agreed. She agreed on my input, or she explained why this was happening, and then it made sense to me. So, I mean, I think the person portraying the character is vital if they have some input, but it also needs to be, how can I say this? You have to be willing to know that it's not going to be accepted, and you need to just do your job.
Yeah.
You know,
And that happens,
a
like I
lot,
said.
a lot.
Do you have any funny stories or interesting stories from your audition?
Hmm. Um, Besides the straight up bloopers of like me messing up and flubbing on lines, so I have dyslexia, correct? So when I get an audition, I get into a zone. First of all, I love auditioning. Most people don't really like auditioning, but I love it. I wouldn't call it love it. I don't mind it. Like, I find it a challenge. It gets me. I'm allowed to work and play. So my auditions are usually, I would almost say I'm over prepared most of the time because I'm reading it so much. And now the fact that we're doing taped auditions, and it's not required for us to memorize it, right? It's not required. But me having a paper, when I look at letters, it's a bowl of letters. It's a bowl. It confuses me. I have friends that use teleprompters when they do auditions, and I can't do it. Like if you had a teleprompter coming down, there's no way I would be able to do that. Usually what I'll do is I'll just memorize it and just say, turn the teleprompter off. Because I've had a couple of teleprompter jobs and said, just turn it off. Like I am dreading, and also I can't wait for me to be at an award ceremony because they use teleprompters, and I'm just gonna be like, don't do that. I'm gonna memorize it because if I read it, it's gonna be horrible. But I think okay, in LA there's a casting director. Oh my gosh, what is her name? I can't remember her name. But she always brought me in, and she brings me into this room, and as I'm walking into the room, you understand, she hyped me up. She hyped me up. Was like, okay, Roger's here. Can't wait. He's here. This is gonna be it. And she turned out talking to me. I was like, no, bring that down. Bring your energy down. I was like, don't like. Let's there's a saying under what's it is under promise over I forget what it's called. Anyway, like just simmer down. And the energy from the reader was so low and so awful that it affected me. And my audition was just as low and as awful as his reading was. And I was like, and she had just hyped me up for the past 45 seconds for that to come out. And I was like, oh my God. I literally sent her an email saying, I'm sorry. That was not it, but I think that's probably the only blooper or funny story I have from my auditions.
And to me, it's all about under promise, over delivery.
There it is. There it is. Under promise, over deliver. Exactly. So under promise me and let me over deliver.
Right. And it's all about the chemistry. It goes back to the question I just previously asked you, which is if you are presenting an award with somebody, you got to come in with energy. And I've done interviews with some people, and it's just like I would go back and I would call my brother K Toops and I'd be like, brother, he'd be like, you did awesome, sister, you did awesome. And I said, brother, I don't feel it. I don't feel it, the energy of the guest, because I'm a happy, bubbly person. I'm a Scorpio. And we are very, very fiery on the inside. We're gutsy. We go for the gusto. And my mom's so October 7th, October 31st. So the fire inside of me, I want people to be happy. I bring energy when I come into the room. That's the type of energy that I presume to people. And if I'm interviewing somebody and the interview is just like dull, I'm just like, what can I do to lighten the mood? So I always try to do things to lighten the mood. Again, it goes back to chemistry, which is very important.
Without a doubt.
Yes. All right, fashion dolls. I see you guys are coming in. Have your questions ready. We are about to get into some Black actor trivia, and I promised you guys I was going to show you what was inside my beauty bag at the end of this interview. We're going to do that. There's a few things I grabbed from the vanity that we get Miss Stevie together with, all right? So let's get right into it. Who was the first Black person to win an Oscar?
I forget her name, but it's a woman. She played the Mammy in
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind, but I don't know her name. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me give you your choices. You got
it's a multiple choice?
Yes.
Okay, if I hear the name, I'll be good. Go ahead.
Nat King Cole, Georgette Harvey, Ethel Waters, and Hattie McDaniel.
Hattie McDaniel.
Yes. And she was the first Black person to win an Academy Award, and her performance in Gone with the Wind. And of course, back then, things are not like how they are now. She had to go through the other side, the back door, to receive hope in an opposite building. Yeah. Come along with that, and we still are fighting for Black actors and actresses to have diversity. Okay. Here's the next one. This one made me kind of mad. Reading got off because she should have won an Oscar too. Angela Bassett has been in at least 43 films. How many nominations does she have? Here's your choices. 5, 1, 4, or 2.
Hold on. 4.
It's 1. She received 1 Academy Award nomination.
Only 1?
And this is for What's Love Got to Do with It? Yes. And of course, Black Panther. Yes. Of course, she was nominated for that and she got snubbed. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Forever Black Panther. Yes.
Okay.
And she lost to Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. Okay. Which one of these musicians have not received an Oscar for Best Original Song? Here's your choices. 3 6 Mafia, John Legend, Common, or my girl Beyonce. She is on tour right now for Renaissance.
Sit down, Beyonce. You don't got no awards.
That's right. She hasn't. She's never received or been nominated for Best Original Song. 3 6 Mafia won for Best Original Song for her Stick and Flow. Yes. And Legend and Common, John Legend and Common won for Glory for Selma. So, yep,
Yep.
that's correct. All right. Who is the first and only Black actor who have received 2 acting nominations in the same year? Here's your choices: Viola Davis, Whoopi Goldberg, Denzel Washington, or Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
That's correct. Yes. He is the first and only Black actor who have received 2 acting nominations in the same year of 2004.
For the
Best
same movie,
actor
correct?
nod in his portrayal of Ray Charles
Mhm.
in Ray. Great film. All right. Here's the next one. Which film was the first to feature Black nominees for both Best Actor and Best Actress? Fences, Sounder, Carmen Jones, or What's Love Got to Do with It?
Fences. Oh, then I mean, it's got to be what's that got to
Sounder.
do with it. Sounders.
Sounders, Pricing, 1972, which was the first film to feature Black nominees for Best Actor and Best Actress. The 1972 film earned Cicely Tyson and Paul Winfield Best Actress and Best Actor nod. May she rest in
Yes,
peace.
Cicely.
Shout outs to music icon Angel Grant, who's worked with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I see you, girl. Yes, and we all know that Dave went to work with Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson, of
Yeah.
course. Yesterday was Michael's birthday. So definitely shout outs to music icon, the Yoni House, Angel Grant. That was one of my favorite interviews to be able to sit with her. And she's worked with Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam, who are some of music's biggest pioneers. So that
Legends.
was the most
Legends.
amazing interviews. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, I was just saying legends. I was just saying legends.
All right, here is the next. Which category has had the most Black nominees in Oscar history? Best Supporting Actress in a Supporting Role, Best Writing Adapted Screenplay, Best Actor, or Best Music Original Song?
I'm gonna go with D, Best Music Original Song.
That is correct. It is the highest number of Black nominees, 41, other than any other category. So, all right. How many people from Black Panther cast have received Oscar nominations in the past? And here's your numbers: 5, 3, 1, 4.
And, uh, 4.
That is correct. Yes, Angela Bassett, Daniel Kaluuya, Lupita Nyong'o. Yes, that is correct.
There you go.
All right. Here is the last question in Black actor trivia. Which movies has costume designer Ruth Carter been nominated for? Here's your choices: Black Panther, Ray, Moonlight, Dreamgirls, Black Panther, 12 Years a Slave, Amistad, 12 Years a Slave, Fences, Malcolm X, Amistad, or Black Panther.
Hold on. What was the question now? Which one that she didn't do?
Which movies has she been nominated for? Which movies has she been nominated for?
All of them.
She did Malcolm X, Amistad, and Black Panther. Yep.
Okay. My fault. Yeah. I thought you were giving me a list of all the ones she did and which one of those was the one. And I was like, oh, she did all those? Okay. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. All right, last
There
question.
you go.
Who was the first African American woman to direct a film for which an actor or actress was nominated? Is it Gina Prince Blythewood, Dee Rees, Cassie Lemons, or Ava DuVernay?
I want to say it was D. Reeves.
Yep, Mudbound. That is
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. She's if I'm not mistaken, she's a FAMU grad.
Yep.
She's a FAMU grad. So yeah, D. I remember her.
All right, fashion
Yeah.
dolls. And that concludes our Black actor trivia. I promised you guys I was going to do this at the end of the show. Make sure you guys have your questions ready for myself and Roger. Now, I don't really do this because I normally come on beat to the nines, thanks to my makeup artist, Melanie Nalamai Bridges. So
Mm-hmm.
go inside my makeup bag. Let's see what we got in here. Okay, so I'm pretty sure a lot of ladies can relate to this. I always curl my lashes before I apply them with my
The
Revlon
curling
eyeliner.
iron.
Yeah,
That's a curling iron for your eyes.
yep.
Do
And
you
they
actually?
have,
You don't got to heat them
go
up
ahead.
though, do you?
Sorry.
You don't have to heat them up though, do you?
No, no, they have the ones that heat up though, and you just push it up under your lash and it just curl your lashes. So it won't burn your eyelashes.
Yeah.
But so far, beauty and technology has now been so revolutionized where it's just like, okay, we're upgraded.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is America's #1 mascara that I always use and why my lashes come on so perfectly. Great lash. So I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this pink and green tube
CVS.
everywhere in the store. Yes.
Please believe it. I
Um,
use it. I use it for my I like to brush. I like to brush my eyebrows. I like to brush my eyebrows.
this is from Gwen Stefani's new makeup collection. This is her new makeup collection. So make sure you guys go and check it out. The palette that I use is called Simple Kind of Life. And if you like the nudes or the flesh tone colors, then you definitely will love this palette. Um,
What's the name of
my
it?
go
What's the name of it?
GXVE, and this is Gwen Stefani's makeup brand.
Does that mean anything? GXV? Like, is that give? What is that?
It stands for her name. It's her name in a different
Oh,
lingo.
got it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Got it. All right.
Okay. Another one of my favorite beauty products that I use and that I swear by is Chanel. I love Chanel foundation, and my shade would be, where's my shade? Should be in here somewhere. BR172. That is my shade.
Mm.
So I use Chanel. Um, I know you guys are like, how does the glow stay intact? My favorite highlighter is Bloom Time. I was watching Angela Bassett on the red carpet at the Oscars, and I said, I got to get that glow. So she actually used Pat McGrath's highlighter kit. I said, I'm not spending that much on Pat McGrath. So I went right to CVS, and I went and I got the Wet n Wild Bloom Time. So it gives you that perfect sun-kissed glow. As you guys can see, I'm all glowy and dewy over here. And my lips, I always go for a nude lip. So I use Victoria's Secret's Peach Nectar. This is my favorite shade of lip gloss, in case you guys were wondering. And I also blend in with the lipstick as well, too. So my favorite lip color would be Ferris Nude from L'Oreal. This is L'Oreal's Coloriche.
For
And
the record, I think most men love a nude lip, like just a plain, just a gloss. Like I think, you know, I mean, depending on the day, like if you have on a red dress, you want to put on a red lipstick, that's fine. But I think on a regular basis, a nude, I think that you call it a nude lip. I think that's preferred.
yeah, and I line my lips too, as you guys can see, with the brown lip liner. You can go right there to CVS or wherever at your local drugstore and find a brown lip liner. And then
Yeah.
I always go in with the primer as well too. So I use Maybelline's Master Prime and 500, which is Blur and Defend. So when I take my photos, people think I have a filter on. I use filters sometimes in my stories, but for when I take my photos, it's that ring light, and it's all about finding the perfect lighting. And that is what is in my beauty bags. In case you guys were wondering, I have tons of cosmetics, but that's just the half of it. I use everything from Revlon, I use Dior, I use Chanel, I use Valentino. Um, Charlotte Tilbury, CoverGirl, Maybelline, you name it, I have it.
You need to do like a tour of your makeup, your makeup drawer. Just like a tour of that. So quick question, your primer, is that something you put on after you put on your makeup? Like to make it so that it doesn't come off, or is that something you put on before?
Before. You put it
So
on
like
before.
just like a prime, like you prime the wall, like you prime your
Yeah.
car. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Just want to make sure if it's the same technology for walls and faces.
No, you don't use that kind on
No,
your
no, I know
face. You use this
that,
kind.
but I'm just saying it's the same terminology. I said technology. I meant to say terminology. I'm sorry. Terminology.
Yes. So that is what is in my beauty bag. As I've seen you guys have been loving the looks lately. I just had to share that with you. I wanted to do something very, very special because you guys have just been amazing. And shout outs to, again, my girl, Hypnotic Skincare. the Yoni House, Angel Grant, music legend herself. You look amazing. Thank you. Angel, you are gorgeous. When we first did our interview, she said, "Oh my God, you're gorgeous." So thank you. It's an honor coming from you.
Mm.
So do we have any questions for myself or Roger? This has been a great interview today. And this is different. I've never really went inside the bag. You always get the photos, but I don't really go inside the makeup bag.
Put it in the bag. So can I ask the first question?
Go ahead.
All right. So first, one, thank you for having me. This was amazing. I've never done an actual Instagram. I've done some interviews, some podcast interviews, but I haven't done an Instagram interview. So I was asking you all these questions. I was like, how do I even get on this thing? But how did you come across Roger Payano? Like, how was I, how did you select me? How was I so honored to be on your interview list?
Well, I've seen your work in Brothers, which is out right now. And I said, wow, I have to have him on the show. I'm all about giving Black actors, Black music artists, Black entertainment a platform where they can promote their projects. Because if we don't, we know how the business is, nobody else.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Because when you reached out to me, I looked you up. I was like, this is a fashion blog. Like, when I first saw it, I thought it was a fashion blog. And I was like, she picked the wrong one. Like, I am not fashion. Like, this is not, I got on scrubs and a hoodie right now. And I was like, I don't think, and that's, remember I asked you to send me a couple of your interviews. And then I went through your interviews. Like I said, I do my research. And I said, oh, okay, it's not just fashion. It's a lot more than just fashion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just wondering. Thank you so much. And Joni House, this is Roger Payano, and thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes. Again, ladies and gentlemen, music legend Angel Grant, the Yoni House, she is here. She Her first debut album went platinum in 1998, and she was signed by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who, as we all know, worked with the incomparable music icon himself, Michael Jackson. His birthday was yesterday. Rest his soul. And she's worked with they've worked with Janet Jackson as well too. So it was an honor to do that interview with her.
Okay. We got questions? Anybody have any questions over here? What's up?
K-Tooks85, shout outs to my brother. K-Tooks says, I'm loving this interview. Do we have any questions, brother? Or anyone else?
I'm an open book. AMA. Ask me anything.
Oh, and while you guys are typing your questions, I always leave you with the final thought of the day. Before we close out, before you guys have any questions, I'm going to give you the final thought of the day. Just some words of wisdom. Anytime you risk big, you often risk losing big. You can win big, but you can also lose big. But you have to be willing to take those losses. And that comes from Holly Berry. And that's my word of encouragement to anybody. You're going to fail. But the key trick is to get up and dust yourself off and keep going. I'm about to be at 500 interviews, you guys. This is interview 497. So the journey will continue this week. We have some amazing men coming on this week and just throughout the week. Thank you guys so much for your unconditional love and support. And I'm honored that I got to interview Roger, and this is interview 497 with him. So
97, which is just as important as 500 and 100. Just so you guys know, just 497. Remember that. I'm gonna write that down somewhere. Write that down. So you are in South Carolina, correct?
Yes.
So how's that going for you? Like, what, like, are you an actress? Are you a vocalist? Are you, I mean, you're a host. I know that, but are you an actress and a vocalist at all?
I'm not an actress.
Okay.
However, I did shoot my very first movie role, and it was for a film called The Assistant back in 2021. And I got the role on my birthday. I was going live, and I did my show. We were doing weekday topics, and the producer, he asked me, do you want to be a part of this project? And he said, just stay tuned. So sent me the script. I read over it, and this was my first time ever going to a table read, ever doing a table read. And I went in and I nailed it with flying colors. And I said, I was panicking. I was nervous. But the day we shot was so funny because behind the scenes, there's a blooper, you guys. There's a blooper in every film. What was so funny was we kept going over each other's lines. The next person kept saying the next person's line and the next person's line, and then we finally got it right. But the project came out great. But what was so different was it was challenging for me because just like how I'm speaking right now, I had to do my first speaking role in this film, and I played a college professor. But as you guys can see, I have long hair today. For this role, he wanted me to have short hair, and I said, He said,
Mm.
but you got to cut your hair. I said, okay, I can do this. I'm used to changing up my look. I do it all the time with fashion. I'm always into the shock value of going for what's off of the runway. So I went in, nailed it. Amazing project. So that was my very first acting role. And will I ever do acting again? Yes, I would love to.
Well, congratulations, by the way.
And you got a question from K2. He wants to know what's your favorite comfort.
Mm, um, I'm from the Dominican Republic. My parents are Dominican, so there's plátano frito, which are plantains, sweet plantains with eggs and fried cheese. That is my comfort food. Like I love me. And to be quite honest, I can just eat the plantains by itself. Just straight up sweet plantains. And I like them a little crispy. I like them a little burnt. So yes, that's my comfort food. Sweet plantains every day, all day.
And how do you stay? Because I know you said in the beginning of our interview, you said you work out a lot. What advice would you give to people who are looking to get fit for the summer? Because we know that summer's almost out. We're going now into the fall, winter months, and a lot of people are going to be inside and with the comfort food, as K Tooks mentioned. So, what
Yeah.
advice would you give to actors on staying in that health care?
Start slow. Start with walking and having an accountability partner always helps. But you know, everybody ain't able. So sometimes you got to push yourself. So start slow, stay consistent. I can't say this, not to watch what you eat, but just be aware of what you're putting in your mouth, food and otherwise, by the way. But just be aware of what you're putting in your mouth, and you know, you'll get gains, and it takes time. At one point, I think I said at the beginning of the of the interview back in 2005 when I started getting into fitness, I was weighing 270 pounds at the time, and I was fortunate enough to meet an actress, a working actress out of LA. I got to meet her. We talked a little bit, and I told her that I was going to become an actor, and she told me straight up. She said, "All right, you have two choices. You could either gain more weight and be a funny actor, or lose weight and be a leading man." And I literally, from that day on, like literally the next day, I started walking, then I started running, and then I've been working out and being healthy and staying fit. Now I'm only healthy because I want to be in shape for my son. I'm 46 years old and I got a 6-year-old. You know what I mean? So I still have another 10, 12 years to deal with this little dude. You know what I mean? So I just want to be able to you know run with him and keep up with him for as long as possible. But yeah, at that point, from that point on, it was like, okay, I'm gonna be a leading man. That's it.
Now, the key thing is most producers or actors would want you to gain weight for some roles. They would want you to change something or do something for a role. Has that ever happened to you going into a role and saying, okay, I can do this, stepping a little bit outside of the comfort zone?
I have not. At this point, I have not had to gain weight or anything. If anything, I've had to get in shape, and that's the thing. Like, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready, right? So that's why it's easy to gain weight. However, even people like the Leonardo DiCaprio's of the world and the Billy Crudup's of the world, they want, first and foremost, they know what role they're playing
Mm-hmm.
years in advance, right? That's why their character work is so great. They have years, months to get into character. Myself, I may have a week, 2 weeks. When I book something, I may have at the most a month to get ready for it. Correct? And they also, when it comes to diet on these big productions, they have a diet manager. Like they do it. They don't just send you home and tell you to eat steak and shakes for the every day. They can manage it and they do it correctly. So you're not out there just putting bad into your mouth, eating waffles and cinnamon buns all day.
Yes, and that is key. Shout outs to V Brown, actor, singer. Welcome, welcome. We are here with Roger Payano. Do we have any questions for myself or Roger before we conclude this great interview, Fashion Dolls? This has been such a great interview. And we did something a little different today. We went inside my makeup bag and then we did some black actor trivia. So I might do that
Yeah,
more often.
yeah. I'm glad I was able to initiate that. Something new today.
All right. So, if we don't have any questions, Fashion Dolls, Roger, are there any gems that you would like to give to up and coming actors into getting into this business? Because it's a lot. A lot of people think, oh, I can just get on camera. No, or I can get the lead or next to lead role.
Mhm.
You have to start somewhere. And a lot of people don't want to do background or start off as an extra. But you got to start somewhere
Yeah.
to get your feet in the door to become an actor.
So you don't necessarily have to start a background or act or an extra. I was fortunate enough that I did it while I was in LA because you just need something, you just need work while you're in LA. But being an extra and be doing background work just gets you on set and you can see how things move and how fast everything goes or slow sometimes, and it acclimates you. But I think the most important thing is study the craft. Either go to school. I went to a conservatory, so I spent 2 years in school just studying, you know, from absurdism to commedia dell'arte. I did a lot. Or you can just take workshops and take a local class of a local actor. But study the craft. There are very, very few people that just have it, that they come on set or they walk in an audition and have it. Very few people do that. Most people are very, very trained, and like I said, I'm biased towards the stage because I come from a theater background. But film and TV is where that's where the money is, correct? So if I can make that same amount of money on stage, I would do stage all the time because I love me a rehearsal process. I love it, you know. But yeah, so school, learn the craft before you think you can do it.
All right, Fashion Dolls. We don't have any other questions or comments. Roger, let everyone know where they can follow you and check you out.
Okay. I'm Roger Payano on every platform. Roger, ROGERPAYANO. However, I don't post very much. But I'm on there. And if you follow me, I'm most likely gonna follow you because I just like to look in other people's lives. I kind of stopped. I stopped posting about 2.5 years ago. Like I just kind of stopped during the pandemic. Um, because I just felt like there was just more important things happening besides putting up selfies with me and some food. Um, so now I just kind of I kind of just watch other people comment if I see fit, do an interview here and there. It's fun, but it can be addicting and it can be pressuring. I stopped posting because you got to take the right picture. You got to look right. You got to say the funny things. What you say has to make a statement. It's too much. It became anxiety inducing. So I just let everybody else deal with the anxiety, and I just enjoy what they got going on. But you can follow me, Roger Payano, all platforms.
All right, Fashion Dolls, ladies and gentlemen, Roger Payano. Roger, it was such a pleasure having you. Had such an amazing time, and definitely would love to have you back again in the future.
For sure. Let me see. 497. So that means what's that? 994. So your 994th interview is gonna be me. All right,
Yeah,
right before you get to 1,000. All right. Thank you for having me. For real, this is fun, and continue your good work. Continue.
definitely.
And
Joining
thank
me
you everybody that
tomorrow.
joined.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm
No, I'm
cutting you
saying
off.
just thank you to everybody that did join and show love.
Yes. Joining me tomorrow, Fashion Dolls, we have Gregory Anthony Stennett. He is joining me all the way from Spain.
Ooh.
So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow at 4. It'll be 10 p.m. where he's at, and it'll be 4 p.m. Same time, you guys. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. It's What a Man Week. All of these amazing Black men I've had the pleasure of interviewing. Marcos Luis joins us Fridays for One Mic Night. Make sure you guys tune in for that. I love you all and talk to you there. Take care.
Thank you.
You are.